everyone, Pam Gregory, astrologer. I'm going to be speaking to you today about the first half of August and the lunar eclipse that we have coming up in Aquarius on the 7th. Now, August is probably the peak month of the entire year. It has strong energy of change and a lot of intense and volatile energy too. Now, I say strong energy for change because it's very much a month of endings and new beginnings. The new beginnings are where we see the new moons in Leo. We have two of them, in fact. We had one at 0 of Leo on the 23rd of July, and the other is coming up with the solar eclipse. That's a new moon in Leo on the 21st of August. And sandwiched in between those, we have the lunar eclipse on the 7th, which is very much about endings, which I'll talk about in a moment. So energy is strong, but the energy is also inward to a large extent, or certainly we're being encouraged to go inwards because we have quite a number of planets retrograde. We have Saturn in Sagittarius, Pluto in Capricorn, Neptune and Chiron in Pisces, and also on the 12th of August, Mercury moves retrograde. At 11 of Virgo, it moves retrograde all the way back to 28 of Leo by the 5th of September. Now, 28 of Leo is quite an interesting degree because that's the degree of the solar eclipse that's coming up later in August, and I'll be talking about what that means later on in later videos. But nevertheless, we certainly have planets encouraging us to turn inwards, and that is always my message. The stronger that events become in the outside world, the greater the call to find that place of peace which is always within us. If we can just, all for free, turn our attention inwards, follow our breath, we will always find that place of calm. And that becomes our anchor when things become turbulent on the outside. So that's always my recommendation. It's particularly my recommendation in August when we are going to see a lot of action in the outer world, I believe, because the astrological energy is so strong. But the number of retrograde planets is encouraging us also to do that. Then on the 3rd of the month, we have another planet going retrograde. It's Uranus. It becomes stationary on the 3rd. And whenever a planet is stationary, its symbolism is amplified. So, and then it moves retrograde also. So if you think of the symbolism of Uranus, it's the unexpected, it's surprises, it's shocks, it's out of the blue opportunities coming in for you. So if you have anything at 28 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, but particularly Aries, you might strongly feel this, that you suddenly get opportunities and you have to act on them quickly because Uranus is always about speeded up energy. There's a feeling of urgency and you need to act quickly. But it's very, very positive for you. Then we have all through this month, and indeed running up until the spring of 2019, we have a really fascinating aspect. I've mentioned it in the past. It's a semi-square between Uranus and Neptune. Now, we had something similar in the 1960s, and that's when we had a lot of innovation, Uranus, in music, Neptune. We also had a great deal of spiritual, Neptune, awakening, Uranus. We are having that now. Many, many people are waking up, but it will have other manifestations as well. Uranus is about finding your tribe, finding your community of like-minded people. So you can either do that physically, you can do it on the internet, you can literally change geography to go and live in a community, but it will be around high spiritual principles because that's the Neptune side. The Uranus side will want to break away from controls of society. It's always about independence and freedom. And by the way, if you do have anything at 28 degrees of the cardinal signs, you might have a particular urge for independence and freedom, a strong sense of restlessness through this month. Also, I think this Uranus-Neptune semi-square will have other effects. Neptune is to do with healing, altered states. Uranus is about new technological devices that can help us achieve that. There are many, many others. I think this is a fascinating, fascinating aspect, and I write about this quite extensively in my new book, which is going to be coming out soon. Another important aspect this month is the Jupiter-Pluto square. Now this Jupiter-Pluto square, which is currently at 17 of Libra, 17 of Capricorn, has been running since November, but it's exact for the last time on the 4th of the month. And when aspects become exact, they have greater power to manifest. So Jupiter is actually going to start to move on in September, so this is the last time this square is going to be exact. So see where 17 of Libra falls in your chart. As I've mentioned before, that's an area of expansion for you. See where 17 of Capricorn falls in your chart, that's an area of empowerment for you. And if you don't know where these points fall in your chart, you can get a free birth chart from my website. Check out this link above, get tutorial video series that will explain everything about what does it mean for you in your life. And that will be relevant for every update I ever do. So this square between Jupiter and Pluto gives a strong drive to achieve. It gives enormous focus and ambition to achieve. But it's very important that it isn't just to benefit self. This works much, much better as an aspect if it is actually altruistic, if you are helping other people as well. So a very important part of that. Then we have the lunar eclipse at 15 degrees 25 of Aquarius on the 7th of August. This happens at 11:10 a.m. Pacific and 7:10 p.m. UK time. Now, I've mentioned that at the beginning of this video that we were dealing with endings as well as new beginnings, because things have to end before there's space for the new energy to come in. And full moons, which this is, a lunar eclipse is always a super big full moon, is always the peak of the cycle. It's the culmination, it's the fruition, it's the closure of something. So it's an ending in that sense. But this is an even stronger message, because at any eclipse, an eclipse can only happen when a new moon or full moon happens very close to the nodal axis. So the moon can be at either end of that nodal axis, north or south. The north is our future destiny collectively, the south is our collective past. Now at this full moon, at this lunar eclipse, it is a south node eclipse, because the moon is closest to the south node, which again is about the past and letting go of the past. So you may find at this time that the past bubbles up. Particularly Uranus is about friendships and social groups, so people might come from the past that you haven't seen for a while to kind of remind you how far you've come, because you might feel that those friendships or that social group is just no longer so relevant for you, because you've developed, you've evolved. So it's about letting a lot of that area of life go, but also see where 15 of Aquarius falls in your chart and what else you're closing off from the past. And at this lunar eclipse, we have the Sun conjunct Mars. Sun is at 15 of Leo conjunct Mars, opposing the Moon at 15 of Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is very idealistic as a sign. It's very humanitarian, can be quite intellectual, quite detached. So what we're letting go of, or what we're being encouraged to let go of at this lunar eclipse of closure, is that detachment. We're being encouraged by our North Node in Leo, and much more of that later in the month, to step towards heart energy. Now, just to say that we're also being encouraged to let any shadow side of Leo, and I'm thinking of the Sun conjunct Mars here in Leo, which can be a little bit arrogant, a little bit overblown, a little bit ego-focused. You know, I've arrived, we can start now. Letting that side of Leo be eclipsed and bring in a really pure, positive side of Leo, which is living from love, living from heart energy, radiating that love out to the world. Being a leader, doesn't matter about your title, being a leader in whatever you do. Have courage, think of the lion. Have integrity and honesty, and have lightness, have creativity, have play, so you can light up a room with your sense of being, which is full of love, but also light and creative. That's what we're being encouraged to move towards, and even more so later in the month, which I'll talk about in the next video. Now, we also have a beautiful finger of God or finger of fate at this lunar eclipse. It is the Sun at 15 of Aquarius, in a quincunx to Pluto at 17 of Capricorn, and another quincunx to Neptune at 13 of Pisces. So that forms a kind of skinny pointed triangle with the Sun at the apex. And this really is about shifting our consciousness. This is about hypersentience, a very fine perception of energy. It's about healing. It's about paranormal experiences. It's about kind of shifting gear from the tangible and the concrete to tuning into the ethereal a great deal more. We still have our grand trine in fire, which continues all month too, with the North Node at 24 of Leo, Aquarius at 28 of Aries, and Saturn at 23 of Sagittarius now. So this is a grand fire trine of inspiration. It's wonderful for innovation, particularly that Uranus in Aries. And we'll find that particularly young people, Uranus, will have a lot of grassroots innovation feeding into this inspirational fire triangle to solve a lot of the environmental and ecological problems that we're experiencing now. We're starting to see these innovations already, but there will be many more of them. And then finishing off this first half of August, on the 15th of the month, we have Venus at 17 of Cancer opposing Pluto at 17 of Capricorn. Now the energy here can be quite intense. It's about practical security and emotional security. This may bring up strong feelings in relationships. There may be an issue of control, Pluto, versus a sense of vulnerability, Venus in Cancer. It may be about money as well. Venus always has the generalized meaning of money. And we may see quite big shifts in the currency markets at that time too. And it's really just the few days to either side of the 15th where we'll be feeling these things strongly, particularly if you have anything around about 17 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. So an amazing first half to August, even more amazing second half. There's just so much to say about that, which I'll save for the next video. But enjoy this lunar eclipse. Remember that you're releasing, you're letting go of the past, you're letting go of the old, you're reminding yourself and remembering to pat yourself on the back, to look back down the mountain and see how far you've come. Very good time to do that before we spring again into the new later in the month. God bless and have a wonderful lunar eclipse in Aquarius. Thanks so much for listening.